Here's a question, an ECW question, because Nancy Sullivan, woman, worked there for so long. And I remember when the Benoit tragedy happened and he killed his family, New Jack was hot. Like he was hot. How are people like Scorp and Sandman that worked so closely with her over the years? I mean, did anybody believe it? I guess I should say.
We were all pretty much in shock. We were all in shock because we knew Chris well. I used to go to Japan with him. So, and you see, when you go to Japan with different guys, you'll see that's when you get to see a real person, like, put it that way. Because when they're overseas and they're working, they got to send money home, especially if they're married and they got kids and they got a family. It's a different thing than being in the arena or being around the United States and go to a wrestling show. And after the show, we go out and party and get drunk. And when it happened, like I said, we were all in shock. I was in shock because I didn't think personally that he would do it. But then again, I can't say what goes on in your house. You can't say what goes on in my house. What goes on behind closed doors is what's going on. We don't know. So who knows? Maybe he could have had a bad day that day. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know personally. I don't think anybody's going to ever know personally what happened. But I know one thing: we were all in shock. And I mean, I personally called Kevin Sullivan because I remember when I met Kevin the first time, Nancy was married to him.
Mm-hmm.
They invited me to his house and he invited me and my boy over to eat dinner and shit like that when I met him in Daytona that time. And I was just starting wrestling school, so I called him up immediately because I felt bad because that was his wife. I didn't think of anything else. And he was even in shock. Everybody was in shock. I mean, I know how the rumors started spinning and people were talking about this and talking about that. And somebody could have did this and somebody could have did that. I mean, what it comes down to is anybody could have did anything. If you don't have a camera there and you don't know what happened, it's all going to be skeptical. It's not going to be, nobody's going to know what happened.
Yeah, first they were saying, well, it's roid rage.
Listen, Chris has been on juice for so many years and he's had experience taking it for so many years. There's no way roid rage would have caused that. And that's my personal opinion.
I don't think it had anything to do with CTE either.
Well, that's a thing that we're going to have to disagree on because when he did pass, he had permission. He gave permission for them to open his brain and check his skull out and check his brain out. They said his brain was a brain looked like of an 85-year-old man. Okay, that's how many concussions he had in his life. Imagine your brain is sitting in your skull. And what it does is it's bouncing off your skull's walls. So it's all, I don't give a shit what anybody says. You could wear a helmet. It doesn't make a difference. Your brain's still in water and it still moves and it still hits your skull, which is hard as a rock. And it's going to give you brain damage. End of story. Okay. That's it. I was already diagnosed with PTSD already. Okay. I've been in the business over 30 years. Yeah. I have problems. I've been on this show with you and I forgot what I was saying in 2 minutes with talking to you. And it happens. I'll get up off the couch, come in the kitchen. I don't remember what the heck I got up for. That's what we have to deal with.
See, for me, and this is just my take, and I want to say first, I'm not a fan of him anymore. I liked him when he wrestled. He doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. He killed a small child. I'll never forgive that. No one should ever forgive that. I think it was an accident. I think they got in a fight. I think the fight got physical. And I'm kind of basing this on because Kevin Sullivan would get in physical fights. I think they got physical. I think he wasn't thinking. I think he hit her or something happened. He fought back. He killed her. He didn't know what to do. He was real religious at the time, and no, that's not a bad thing. What's going to happen? I'm going to go to jail. They're going to take my son away. My son's going to open a foster home. We'll just all die together. Killed the kid. And then I think it took him a little while to build up the nerve to hang himself. And I think in his mind, he thought, we'll all die. We'll all be together in the afterlife. But I think it started with, I think it started with an accident. I think they got in a fight. I think he did something and he killed her. And he was like, oh, fuck, what do I do?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I have a similar story. My partner passed away. Okay. And it was the similar story. Like they found him laying on top of his girl with two babies still in the house. So who knows what happened? I talked to him 2 weeks prior. Everything was great. So you don't know what, like I said before, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, you know? And like I said, we're all going to assume this happened, but nobody's ever going to know what really happened, until that happens, it's a shame that it happened. It sucks. It's horrible. There's a lot of wrestlers that he's not the only wrestler that's done this.